Hey, sixth graders, welcome to what I guess appears to be my Bible/chemistry lab. We're going to get to this in a little bit, but for right now, we're going to start off with a pop quiz. Now, if your heart's going boom, 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 don't worry about it. It's just for fun. So make sure that you have a piece of paper, a pencil, a whiteboard marker, whatever you need to get some answers down. Okay? So my first question for you, and these will all be statistic questions, okay? My first question for you is how many ads do you think the average American watches per day? So once again, that's how many ads do you think the average American watches per day? So think of a number, jot it down, okay? Now TV. How many hours of TV per day do you think the average American watches? And this is excluding, not including, streaming services. So we're talking actually like cable, regular antenna TV. How many hours of TV does the average American watch per day? Alrighty. Next, music. How many hours of music per week does the average American listen to? How many hours of music per week does the average American listen to? Alrighty, you're almost there. Okay, we have about 3 more. Okay, next, how many hours per day does the average American spend on their phone? Now, I want to make this clear. This is simply talking, texting, it could be video chatting nowadays, and apps. So this is before all of this happened too, so don't count in all the hours we spend FaceTiming now, okay? But how many hours do you think average American spends on their phone per day? And I do have to tell you guys, these numbers are pretty astonishing. My mind was really blown. It was incredible when I looked these up. Okay, next one. This is probably one of the worst of them all. How many hours per day does the average American spend on social media? So that's Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, you name it. Okay, how many hours per day does the average American spend on social media? Alrighty, that's the last one, okay? And this one's for a percent. So what percent of Americans do you think read their Bible outside of church? This is the worst one. What percent of Americans read their Bible outside of church? Alrighty, you got your answers down? Alright, so before I reveal these answers, which I will in a little bit, so stay tuned, okay? I know you're on the edge of your seat. Before I read those answers, before we go over them, okay, you should have read James chapter 1, verses 19 and finishing off the chapter. The goal of this lesson will be for you to be able to explain what is moral filthiness and some examples, and also to explain what is righteousness and some examples from our everyday lives of what that looks like. Okay? So, now to your answers. Okay? Here we go, guys. Remember, this is ads per day. The average American watches, you ready? Drum roll, please. 4,000 to 10,000 ads per day. Isn't that just mind-blowing? 4,000 to 10,000 ads per day. Okay? That means that you see an ad every 21 seconds. 21 seconds you see an ad. So next time you're driving down the road or you're in the store, maybe you should actually put the statistic to the test. Let me know what you find out. Okay? Next one, TV. Okay? The average American watches just regular plain old TV for 4 hours per day. Now, When I saw this, I was like, 4 hours per day. That doesn't sound like a lot. However, okay, by the time you are 65 years old, so I'm 25, okay, you guys are 11, 12, maybe even 13, okay, that means by the time that we are 65 years old, we will have watched 9 years of television. 9 whole years. That means if I just plop down on the couch and watch TV for 9 years straight, no breaks, that's the equivalent of watching 4 hours per day. Isn't that crazy? My goodness. All right, next one, music. This one was pretty astonishing. The average American listens to, ready? Drum roll, please. 18 hours. They listen to 18 hours of music per week. 18 hours. Okay, the next one, phone. The average American is on their phone for 5.5 hours each day. 5.5 hours each day. That means that if we were to take that time and plot it out through the course of a year, that's 82 days worth. Straight, just being on your phone. 82 days out of the year, we're on our phones. Okay? Like I said, that's excluding social media, which we're about to get to. Alright, friends. This one's the incredible one. Okay? If you get this one right, props, because this one astonished me. Okay? The average American is on social media for, drumroll please, 12 hours per day. My friends, there are 24 hours in a day. That means people are on their phones or on social media for 12 hours. That's half a day's worth. Half the day they're on social media. Isn't that crazy? I mean, I don't think that we realize how much society revolves around these items, which is why I did it. We don't realize how much society revolves around ads, TV, music, phone, social media. Okay? Now, here's the kicker. What percentage of Americans read their Bible outside of church? This is very disheartening and sad. You ready? Drum roll, please. Less than 20%. Less than 20% of Americans read their Bible outside of church on their own time. Okay. So, you might be thinking, that's awesome. I'm glad I learned these statistics, right? But what does this have to do with James? So, let's turn to verse 21. Go ahead and highlight it as I read it out loud. Therefore, put away all filthiness and rampant wickedness, and receive with meekness the implanted word which is able to save your souls. Now, James uses a lot of higher vocabulary in this verse, so take a moment, pray about, ponder, okay, what is James trying to say in this verse? What do you think James is trying to say in this verse? So what do you think? Well, James is trying to say, so in like modern lingo, James is trying to say that we need to put away all moral filthiness aside and put on the righteousness of God. How do we get the righteousness of God? By walking with Him each and every day, by reading His Word. That's why that last statistic is so disheartening and so sad, because not many people are reading His Word outside of church. My next question for you is, what is moral filthiness? What is moral filthiness? Once you think you have an idea, pause the video and look those two terms up. What does moral mean and what does filth mean according to the dictionary? Alright, did you find your definitions? Alright, so according to the dictionary, moral means concerned with principles of right and wrong behavior. And also, according to the dictionary, filth means corrupt behavior. So based off of these definitions, we know that moral filthiness means to be concerned with the principles of corrupt behavior. So moral filthiness means that you're concerned with the corrupt, the bad, the sinful behavior. Okay? We're going to take this one step further. What is moral filthiness? Give me some examples of moral filthiness in your everyday life. So close your eyes, picture your daily routine from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. What are some examples that you've noticed of moral filthiness? Do you have some ideas jotted down? Okay. So some examples of moral filthiness, okay, we're filled with them every single day, but we don't quite realize it. Some examples would be movies. It could be inappropriate language. It could be inappropriate content that doesn't glorify God. Okay, this could be even just simple gossip. People gossiping in movies. Simple. Okay, songs, music. It can be used to glorify God, but it can also be filled with moral filthiness. It can be filled with corrupt behavior, right? Okay, TV. It doesn't take long watching the TV to find out that, hey, that does not glorify God. Okay, language. Language can glorify God, absolutely, but language can also not glorify God and display moral filthiness. Okay, whether it's bad language, gossiping, slandering each other, talking bad about each other, lying, things like that. Okay, what about attire? Okay, especially ladies, if you've ever walked through a store, right, it doesn't take long to realize not all of this glorifies the Lord. Okay, so we don't realize it, but we're surrounded by all this moral filthiness. Okay, so we're into an example or an illustration. Okay, so let's say that this lovely Pyrex glass full of water is our hearts. Okay, so it's pure, right? We're not exposed to any moral filthiness. Okay, let's say we get home from a long day at school and we just want to kick up our feet and relax, right? After we get into our PJs, take off our shoes, all that good stuff, we just want to kick back and relax. So we turn on the TV, okay? We turn on the TV and we're like, hey, this looks good. Well, then 5 minutes into it, they start talking bad about each other. They start using bad language, even if it's just one word. Okay? This represents what was in here, now is in here, represents the moral filthiness, even just from watching 1 minute of something that has bad language, okay, things that don't glorify God. Okay, so let's say we flip the channel, we decide there's nothing good on TV. It all has moral filthiness. Okay, doesn't get much better than what we watched the first time. So we quickly click that off, okay, and we turn to good old social media. Let's see what our friends are up to. Well, then we discover our friends are lying and they are gossiping about each other, and they maybe not wear the appropriate attire that glorifies the Lord, right? Okay? Maybe dance moves, anything, right? Well, now that's in our heart. Now we have that moral filthiness in our heart as well. Delicious, right? Okay. So we quickly click off our phone, turn off our computer, and we're like, how can we escape this? So we go for a drive. Well, you don't go for a drive, but you hop in the car with your parents. Okay? Or maybe you go for a bike ride. And you're going down, and oh no! We see some ads. Some advertisements that don't glorify the Lord. Well, now we have that moral filthiness in our hearts as well. So what was once pure, clean, is now all muddled, gross, and full of moral filthiness. Okay? So just by going through our everyday lives, okay, we see all this moral filthiness. We don't even have to leave our house to see moral filthiness. Sometimes we can notice that we're seeing moral filthiness. Okay? Sometimes we don't. Sometimes it just sneaks in there. So what are we supposed to do? Are we just stuck with it? What do you think? Are we just stuck with moral filthiness, with all this gunk? And if you answered no, then why? How so? How can I escape moral filthiness? If I'm not stuck with it, how can I escape it? Any ideas? Well, thankfully, we're not stuck with moral filthiness. Okay? We do have Jesus, who forgives all of our sins. He takes away all this icky, gunky, not so good smelling stuff. Okay? And he makes us clean again. So moral filthiness can be reversed. But, okay, using this illustration, do you think that it can be reversed right away? Do you think that it'll be an immediate, quick, easy process? What do you think, and why? Okay, so if this this is a coffee pour over filter, okay, but this is going to represent Jesus. So we're going to turn our attention to this good old coffee filter, okay, and I'm going to pour the contents of our icky, icky heart through the filter of Jesus. So we're praying, asking God to forgive us, and you know what, God? Help me to become a better person. Take all this moral filthiness away. I don't like it. You don't like it. Take it. Help me to be a better person. Okay? When you ask Jesus to make you a better person and to take away this moral filthiness, He will. So just like you can see in the water, it is taking it away, but does it take it completely away? No, it doesn't. It's still brown. Now, if I were to run this one more time through the filter, then it'd be less brown, right? And I could keep going and keep going and keep going till I have no brown. So the point of this being is that moral filthiness can be reversed, but it is a process. In Christianity, we call this process sanctification. It doesn't happen right away, but it happens when we truly trust God with everything that we have. This has to be a conscious decision that we make to trust God. So my challenge for you is to take on that challenge, to pray that God would give you the strength each and every day, that we can put away all that moral filthiness and trust Him and take on the righteousness that He has. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Don't forget to fill in your James notes. And until next time, see you later. Bye, 6th grade.